Hidden behind the happy images on Facebook is a disturbing reality. Child predators using the site to trade illegal pictures.
Illicit images of children, very young children, in sexual poses, in various stages of nudity.
Raymond Bechard, an activist and author, says he stumbled upon this while researching a book on human trafficking. He says at any given time, tens of thousands of photos like these are posted online.
And I know it's not easy for you as a mother to see these, or anyone, but the one that struck me of this is this girl, I don't know, 8 years old perhaps? She's mimicking a very sexual pose. She's untied her bathing suit so that you can see underneath it.
It didn't take long to find illegal pornographic pictures posted on Facebook. Most of the images are too offensive to show.
And the girl was no more than 5 or 6 years old.
I can't believe it. I mean, it's all on Facebook for anybody to see.
Very easily, yeah.
Here's how it works. Child predators create fake profiles to conceal their real identities. They then friend one another to trade video and pictures.
Ben Little, was that a real person?
No, Ben Little's not. It's Ben Small, Ben Little, Ben Young, anything that could actually sound like a name but pertains to someone being little, small, young, or child.
So that's
even the word child.
So that's a key or a key word to someone
Absolutely.
Who's a child predator.
We noticed this. Their likes are similar. One example, the book Lolita, about a man who has an inappropriate relationship with a young girl.
It's rampant, to be quite honest with you.
Nick Savage is with the Cyber Division of the FBI, part of a task force that investigates these crimes. He says these pictures are evidence of a vicious cycle.
They can meet other people like themselves, form these groups, and go off and again validate their behavior. When they trade these images with others, there's always a sense of they need new material.
Child predators are even stealing innocent pictures of kids that could come from your Facebook profile.
Like, this is probably the photograph of a young boy after his Little League game, and these guys just stole it off of their Facebook, just cut and paste and use it to send a signal out.
Which is exactly what we found in our investigation.
What may seem innocuous to a mom and dad may be a turn on to some sickos out
Absolutely. It's especially when they're putting it on Facebook and they think only their friends are seeing it.
Stolen or illegal images can be reported to Facebook, which removes the pictures from the site. But critics say that's not enough.
In other words, they shut somebody out, but they don't lock the door. They just come right back in as another profile, putting up the same images and trading the same information with other pedophiles.
That's exactly what Kentucky pastor Jerry Cannon did. He pled guilty in April to charges of posting child pornography on Facebook. He used 13 false profiles to post over 600 images. Bechard said that his group discovered Cannon and reported him to authorities. It's a job he says Facebook should do. But a spokesperson for Facebook tells us, quote, Facebook takes down illegal content as soon as it's reported to us. In the rare case where we believe the content may constitute child exploitative material, we take it down immediately, use our innovative system to block any further sharing of that content, and actually pull it back from any person's page that it was shared with. More importantly, we share the content with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and then report the person that shared it to law enforcement.
When they see them, they're taken down. Unfortunately, as we all know, they tend to pop up in other places. So, you know, we're chasing the proverbial rabbit down the rabbit hole.
Heather Nauert, Fox 5 News.
So what we're going to be looking at are some of the elements that the news report did not show us. A little bit more detail in how we came upon the story. But the first thing I want to do is warn people, because as you know, having seen this before, it's extremely disturbing. These images are really not to be viewed by younger people, and people need to use their discretion before they view it and before they show their family members. But we wanted to make this video to spread the word about what's happening on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter and many others. Very few people know about what's happening on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. So what we're about to see is what's been going on for a long time and what we have been urgently trying to tell people, and so that these companies take proactive action in correcting it. So we call this Facebook and child pornography the truth. simply because there's so much getting in the way of people finding out and knowing what's happening, about what's really happening within the realm of where they go every day. It's our community meeting place. It's the one place where we all go to find the news of what's happening in the world, in our community, with our families, with our friends. It's a wonderful tool, but there are those out there who have used it for some very evil purposes, and we're about to see why. When I was researching my book, The Berlin Turnpike, which really explores commercial sexual exploitation in the United States, I realized that much of what we call human trafficking and prostitution is now using the internet to market young women, young boys. So we remember the Craigslist controversy from a couple of years ago and how many people were using that Craigslist to really market human trafficking. Pimps were using listings in their escort services section, then their adult services section, and you remember it quite well because you were involved in the battle to get rid of those things. When that ended in September of 2010, when I was writing the book, I realized that this commercial sexual exploitation marketing that was online had to migrate somewhere. It was too powerful a tool not to continue to use the internet for this type of thing. And of course we know about the fact that it went to Backpage and many other paid-for websites that you and I have fought against, The Erotic Review, escorts.com, fling.com, and some of the others. But what I very quickly realized was that a lot of it had migrated off of Craigslist and onto Facebook. And it makes sense if you think about it, because on Facebook you can communicate to people without them communicating to you first. On Craigslist, on Backpage now, people are able to go open their computer and go looking for the escort services, what you and I know as prostitution, human trafficking. With Facebook, you don't have to wait for that phone to ring for some man to open his computer and to look for you. You can go out and friend him. So as I was doing my research for the book, as I was looking at where these services, where these human traffickers, these pimps were migrating onto the website, onto the internet, I realized they were beginning to use Facebook because it has an enormous advantage. This is a screenshot from an avatar, a fake profile that I set up named Heather Faye. And she was able to communicate with men all over the country. Within a few short days, she had had 600 friends, and she didn't exist. But she was able to say hello to men, say, "Do you remember me?" And her profile picture was very sexy, very attractive. She had a couple of open galleries that also had the same type of photos. So when she friended a man all over the country, and when I say she, I mean she didn't exist, me, they would often start up conversations with her. And this is what some of the pimps and human traffickers are now using Facebook for. So you find very explicit profile photos that are open to the entire community, anyone to see. And because of that, Facebook has become now the most popular website for advertising commercial sexual exploitation, because you're not waiting for that cold call to come in. You can knock on anyone's virtual door by setting up a fake profile and putting up very sexual photos like this. Now you see this person has almost 5,000 friends, which is Facebook's limit. So this profile has been up for quite some time. This one, very explicit. And again, these are open to anyone. So many men, if they were to get a friend request from something look like the profile with these shots in it, they might be inclined to see what else that person has going on in their profile. So they'll confirm that friend request. Again, very explicit images. And Facebook does very little to hunt these down or even prevent them from being up in the first place, which is the real problem. Because unless someone is going to report these, then nothing's going to happen. They'll stay up long enough for someone to get 5,000 friends. Again, no censorship. This is an extremely graphic profile photo, and you see their likes are XXXXX and works at XXX. Here we have Spanish of the word prostitute. The profile photo is a young girl leaning into a car, and this depicted a completely naked man. Again, 5,000 people like this. Again, it's allowed by Facebook. So once again, if some men were to get a friend request from a girl dressed like this, they may be very well inclined to confirm and become her friend. Once that happens, then that conversation can begin. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going out tonight. What are you doing today? Where do you live? And so that relationship can begin before they ever meet. And again, she doesn't have to wait for the phone to ring. She can say, call me, or what are you doing? Are you bored? I like this. It offers an extraordinarily powerful tool for human traffickers. But here's what happened, Jeanette. As I was researching the book, and as I looked deeper and deeper into this culture that exists on Facebook, I realized that the profile photos that were open to anyone without having to friend them showed more and more explicitly sexualized younger people. This is a screenshot, a little girl picking flowers, but over here is a young boy about 10 years old, fully nude, and with a link to a video chatting service. And if you click on that, it brings you to this tiny chat site where you can video chat with young children, boy, girl, what have you, and chat with them for money online. But it went even further than this. Many of these profiles had open galleries of nudes, some with explicit pornography, again, open to anyone, for anyone to see. You didn't have to be their friends. So these were signals to other people online trading these kinds of photos. And then you see some of the likes that Facebook allows. Now, you have a like for Operation 21st Century, and I have one for my book. We can set one up for our town, our school, our favorite sports team, what have you. Anybody can set up a like. Facebook doesn't censor these likes, so we have some of these here, but some of the others get extremely explicit. And again, Facebook does nothing in any language to disallow it. Now you see pretty little girls, 1,500 likes, nude teen, young nude teen, and incest porn, family incest, orgy porn, 410 likes. This is how some of the users of Facebook who are using it to trade photos of children or other pornographic images find each other. They can do searches for these. This one was too explicit to even show, the very young child. Again, Facebook allows all of these. Again, a nude child. No censorship on any of these. But then as we come into some of these profiles of the younger children, in other words, when you look at some of the people who like these activities that we've just looked at, you find commonalities in their open profiles so they can find each other. Here we have a young girl, perhaps 11, 12 years old, sitting at a bar. She likes the book Lolita, Teen Vogue, the movie Lolita, the movie 13, and anything to do with any program or anything to do with Justin Bieber, iCarly, anything to do with something in the tween age, showing about that age group. And if we look across the board of other sexualized open profiles, we see Lolita again, receiving nude pics, pic swapping. Over here you see the friends, kid girl. So an obvious profile of someone looking to trade pornographic images of children. And they go on and on. Lolita, girls 13, nude. And you see the photos in their open profile are of young girls, highly sexualized. But as I kept looking, again, obviously the name, Lolita, little girls. So we have to ask ourselves, what really is child pornography? And there are very strict laws against child pornography in the United States, both federally and at the state level. It's not protected by First Amendment rights at all. Whereas what we might call adult or mainstream pornography can operate legally. There are strict laws against child pornography in United States Code, and really it's any sexualized depiction of a minor, whether it's a hand drawing, a video, a photograph, CGI, any creation of it, of a child that's sexualized is child pornography. Even if the child's wearing clothing, if it's sexualized, it's child pornography. So we have to keep that in mind. So I wanted to make clear what child pornography is, because it is very, very distinct crime under the law. As we go on and look at some of these other open screenshots from Facebook, I want to warn people again, because of we're not going to show anything that's clear or be able to identify a particular child. But this is an extraordinarily difficult topic to see, as you know.
Absolutely.
So again, in researching the book, I found these open profiles that were obviously set up by men who were looking to trade photographs of younger and younger children.
Now, is it just men or women too? Did you find out?
We really don't know who's behind these. Although it's interesting, the arrests that we see coming across, and some of the ones that we've helped investigators with. Some of the folks that a group of us that investigate this online and turn the information over to law enforcement. All the arrests we've seen have been male.
Interesting.
So I'm not a psychologist. I don't know the psychology behind it, but yeah, most of the arrests are male. However, there's a distinction under human trafficking laws between the production of child pornography and then the distribution of child pornography.
Right.
So in the production of child pornography, yes, we know there are females involved, because oftentimes if there's drugs involved, it's anyone who has access to a child for any amount of time. There's a lot of money involved in this, and sometimes drugs as well.
Right.
So when you get that that motivation, yeah, it's male and females.
Okay.
Yeah. The word angel is often used. Angel, Lolita, young, little, anything in the profile's name, the profile user's name that they can look for, the name love. So they can actually look for that. And we've blocked out some of these things. But I noticed they were getting younger and younger. And you see this person has over 650 friends. Now I'm looking for friends to invest in my stock. So they're always looking for friends to give them something, to trade photos, to open their galleries. And you see their friends, it's hard to see, it's blurred, but all of their friends are young girls in suggestive or sexualized positions. And again, younger. This girl's probably no more than 7 or 8. Now here we get into some of the very, very sexualized, open to the public profiles. This is a male photo. This was of a young boy who was naked, who's holding a knife to his exposed genitals. Some of them are highly stylized in a studio with a background. This girl's about 7 years old. She's pulling up her bathing suit top. About 8 years old in leather boots and heels. This was a young girl in almost a belly dancer kind of harem costume. Again, live screenshots from open galleries for anyone to see. This girl was in a flapper outfit, about 7 years old. This girl's 6 years old, her genitals exposed. And it goes on and on, outdoor shots. They're smiling. And that's the thing that most people find so...
Yeah, what do you think... what am I supposed to think about that when
exactly.
I see Facebook and I see a young girl smiling? Am I, like, the comment, of course, I'm an abolitionist, but the first immediate thought for a common person would be, okay, she's obviously enjoying it. So what would you say about that?
It's somebody who knows how to manipulate a child so that what they're doing they think is playtime.
Okay.
It's not something that they feel threatened with. They've been put a costume on like they do at Halloween. They don't know sexuality yet. So they don't know that at their age, sexuality isn't something that's supposed to they're supposed to be exposed to, or they're supposed to be used for or participate in. So they think it's just laughing and fun and, ooh, I'm getting my picture taken, just like I do any other time. They don't know the evil intent of the person who's taking those photos.
So what about the person who's actually taking the photos? Could it be if the girl or the victim, he or she, both, is so comfortable with the photographer, do you think it's family related, or is an individual being kidnapped, or what do you think the circumstances are at that point?
Both. Many times it's not the stranger danger that we know about. It's someone they know, or someone they almost know, kind of know. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has done an extraordinary video where they teach children about the strangers, the don't knows, the kind of knows, and then the people you really do know who are safe. Well, the difficulty here is some of the people that children do know who they think are safe, parent, uncle, someone close to them, is dangerous to them. Again, it's someone who has access to a child that the child can trust. They know who to look for, the folks who are taking these photos.
Exactly.
And some children will trust very, very quickly anyone, and it doesn't take long to get them in this type of position, to get them laughing. to get them to trust someone. So it's either someone who already has their trust or who has won it very quickly.
That's very scary.
Yeah,
okay.
it's extreme. And it's very difficult to warn children about this, so that they're not, especially if it's someone they do know, and that's the evil of it. So again, these girls are posing, they're laughing, no bikini bottom here. This girl's about 11 years old. Again, she's about 5. Same girl on her hands and knees, about 5 years old. And it just goes on and on and on throughout Facebook. This girl about 4 years old with a shotgun, smiling. Now this was one of the first photos that came to our attention. It's a girl with her hair done up, her makeup done. She's about 7 years old, wearing a bikini in this first shot. But in this shot, it's the same girl in the same setting, but she's completely naked, holding an inflatable Daffy Duck. Now this is the one that we realized, okay, something's systemically wrong here with
Right.
Facebook. So a colleague of mine and I reported this online to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and to the FBI. But we were so taken aback by this that we went to the FBI in person and reported this particular photograph. And we gave them access to this fake profile I had given them. And they were very familiar with this type of crime happening on Facebook. And they had told us about how difficult it is sometimes to deal with them and get information from Facebook. And we'll go into that in a little while, what happens when people report things. But this was the photo that we reported to the FBI specifically and that I describe in the book. I think it was sort of the tipping point for us. It's like,
Right.
how is there so much of this? But from there, things get, I hate to say this, but even worse. It's not just children smiling and happy and posing as you've seen in this. This girl is not smiling. She's
Right.
on her hands and knees, her pants are pulled down, and it looks like it's in a common motel room. And you can't see the expression on her face, it's too blurred, but she is clearly unhappy in this photo. This is a girl who's been made to lie with her legs spread, extreme exposure to her. This girl it's extreme exposure.
Ray, one thing I find, it's a common thread throughout the pictures that you've found, the demographics of the girls. One, they're white, and between the ages of 4 and 15-ish.
Yeah.
Is that a common thread? Have you found both girls and boys from different races? And I mean, from what I see from the pictures, I mean, these girls look like regular suburban, like common folk girls.
I can't explain it, but that does seem to be the draw.
Yeah.
This would seem to be, in America anyway, the girl you would find playing in the yard next to you.
Right.
So yes, that we have seen images of all the way to toddlers, to very, very young. And even to 15 is a little bit old. Once they reach that age where they're beginning to develop as young women, that seems to be in another category. There seems to be that desire amongst these men who are trading these things to be ages of, from toddler up to that age prior to development. But yes, racially, there seems to be that an enormous amount of desire for younger white girls. And I can't explain that. I don't know how to explain that.
That's sickening.
It's very strange. But these are young girls that have mostly been alone. These are 2 girls together, about age 9, extreme exposure. These are 2 young girls in a sex act. Children piled on top of one another. A group of children, age 10 to 12. A young girl in bed with an older man. This is a clear act of bondage, about age 9. A sex act with a girl who's about 5. A sex act with a female and a girl about age 5. More bondage. And it goes on from there. I think people are getting the point. This is a young girl about age, say, of 7, fully nude, tied to a toilet. And this is a young girl tied down to a chair with a man behind her. So, and this is more of the face of that young girl, and that's not a happy face.
So what do these guys do, or guys or girls, I'm going to say both, what do they do once they make that initial connection with these toddlers or
That's a very
these
good
victims?
question. Remember, they're not communicating with the children. The photos of the children are their stock and trade. It's what they use as their currency. So they have these profiles we showed earlier, and that's how they begin to communicate with each other. Now remember, for the first time in history, these pedophiles who have this compulsion to see these photographs, to produce these images and videos, are able to communicate globally with total anonymity across language barriers, geographical boundaries. They're able to talk to each other across the world now, put up these profiles, put up these activities and likes, put up a few photos to say this is what I'm into and this is what I'm looking for, and with a few clicks of the mouse on a Facebook profile, and sometimes they'll have dozens of fake paid Facebook profiles, they're able to find each other and say, okay, I've got galleries of this, what are you looking for? And they can either use Facebook and use a gallery there, or they can then, once they find each other, work off of Facebook and trade. If I have a gallery depicting this, or I have videos of this, I'll show you mine, if you show yours, that kind of thing. And it's not money that's being traded when they're online like that. It's the actual images and videos of these children that is their currency itself. So
basically, Facebook has become the 21st century, the 21st century pornographic pedophile portal, basically.
That's a great way to put it. It really is.
That's just sickening.
And see, they've never been able to do this before. Child pornography, before it was illegal, they would have to find it on the street in print, and then when it became illegal, it would have to be physically traded. But now, with the digital age, it has exploded simply because all you need now is an online computer, a camera, and a child. Before, you needed printing presses and distribution, but a lot of people have access to those three things: a computer, a photo, a camera, and a child. So remember, though, many of these are trophy shots. It's, here's what I did, and they're very proud of these images and these videos, because they are not just taking photos of these childs, they're the ones that are actually abusing them. And so they'll photograph it, they'll videotape it as their trophy to put on the wall, as their accomplishment. And so they trade it to sort of show their bluster, to show what they've done, what they've been able to do. A literal trophy.
So would that even consider commercial sexual exploitation in the realm of like rule of law and politics?
Yeah, it is under certain law. This, as I said, the manufacturing of this is considered human trafficking. Okay. And once you begin to trade it, then it gets a little sketchy as to where it falls under the law. But the law is so strict in this, even owning it, downloading, it can be considered illegal as well. Okay. So, but as far as international law, obviously some countries are, and with the internet, and this is where the difficulty comes in, is because Facebook has hundreds of millions of users and hundreds of millions of photos being uploaded every hour. There's no policing of this activity. So they're able to get on, contact each other. If they're reported and their profile is blocked or the pictures are blocked, they simply create another profile, repost, and go on from there. It's a great community, obviously. The Facebook groups, secret groups, we saw how well they were used in taking down dictatorships in the Arab Spring. However, they can also be used for evil as well. With these secret groups being created by pedophiles who want to create, this, as you said, this pedophile portal, and it's really what it is. Yeah. So, and beyond the child pornography laws, beyond the pedophiles who are taking these images, finding them, or distributing them, trading them, we have to look at the human level of what this is doing to the children, and it's nothing less than rape.
Right.
The commercialized rape of these children. Yes, the photograph is horrible, but think of what happens before that photograph is taken, sometimes during it, and especially afterwards. The violation that happens to these children not only is recorded and put on the internet and never goes away, worse than that, the violation that happens to that child's heart and mind and body goes on for a lifetime. and it happens to so many children. And we have to remember what's behind these photos and videos. And for the first time in history, these pedophiles are validating each other. It's like, look how many people are doing this. Oh, this is I've got a community now. I'm not just operating in a basement someplace. I've got hundreds of thousands of friends who are doing the very same thing around the world. And in a way, that makes it okay in their own mind to do. So that seclusion is taken away, and now they've become emboldened by the fact that this depictions of rape and other acts against these children is acceptable in their mind. And the fact that it's on Facebook, well, everybody uses Facebook.
Exactly.
Everybody uses Twitter, Microsoft Live. So if it's here and it's acceptable, then wow, isn't that, it validates them even further.
Right. You gave a great presentation of like what the realities of Facebook, has to offer in terms of like child pornography and the secret portal for pedophiles. So what can the common folk do?
There's actually quite a bit, because we've really been working on this for over a year, and we've set up a few tools for people to use. And I give this presentation to anyone who will listen, and you've asked the question, everybody asks, oh my gosh, what can we do?
Right.
There's got to be something. Now, you can report directly to Facebook on Facebook itself, which is great, but there's a couple problems with that. So we'll take this photo, which is the one we first reported to the FBI, and we'll go through what happens when you report to Facebook and what doesn't happen. Under every photo on Facebook, some people don't realize this, but if you look around, there's an options button and report this photo. So if you click on report this photo, you come to this screen will pop up, and you can, all these different choices come up as to what's happening on it: graphic violence, hate speech, and nudity or pornography. So we say we select that one, and then we're going to report it directly to Facebook rather than message this person to remove it. And Facebook will then say, oh, you can report up to 5 other photos in this gallery if you want to, but only 5. If the gallery has 500 pictures in it, you can only report 5 photos. So here we've picked out 5 photos in this gallery to report, and this is what you see after you hit the report button.
Okay.
The photo, nothing. No thank you for
Literally.
reporting, no we'll follow up with you, no response at all. You simply get the screen of the photo again. There's absolutely no acknowledgement that you've just made that report. So say I want to go back on to that gallery and say, well, I've reported 5 out of 100 photos that are, child pornography. I'm going to go back to that gallery, pick a few more, and report them again. Say we do that, this is the screen you see. You have already submitted a report for this content. So they're telling you, oh yeah.
Like we've already got
that's
taken
it.
care of.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, like, of course they created Facebook for a different reason, but I don't think that the creators of Facebook have ever thought that, holy crap, this website that I've created is now used for child pornography.
Yeah.
And for having over 700 million users, and I think that's the number, you would think that their multi-billion-dollar industry can hire a few people to help filter the words nudity, child pornography, anything in that such matter. But just for you to go through this and to not get a result and to be proactively researching this, I don't know. I think this is despicable at this point.
And I agree with you. We don't think Facebook wants this on their site.
Of course
we know they don't want it used for this. However, if we know this is happening, and if it has continued to happen for so long, where these likes and activities are there with some of the words you mentioned that are, not just words that are R-rated in our language, but R-rated in other languages as well.
Right.
Clearly, why aren't they hiring a couple of people to simply take care of what we're finding every day? With Facebook's initial public offering of common stock, it has put a value on the company of at least $100 billion. So yes, they do have the resources to address this issue, but perhaps they feel to address it is to acknowledge that it's happening, and it's simply too risky in the public relations realm to acknowledge that it's happening. We want to draw attention to the fact that it is, that it's obvious, that it's growing, and that they could really address it by preventing it from ever being placed on their website in the first place.
Right.
Because there are other social network sites that do prevent it. So if they're doing it, if we know about it, then certainly they could address it as well.
Absolutely.
The difficult part with reporting on Facebook is that it gets rid of it and doesn't report the crime. What we've seen today, if we report it as a crime, if you report it to Facebook and they erase it, it's never reported to anyone as a crime. So that evidence is gone. The Department of Justice in the United States doesn't know about it. Nobody looks into the user. So that person who gets their gallery taken down or their profile taken down, it's simply reposted. The crime continues.
Yep.
So this is Facebook's response to this issue. We have zero tolerance for this activity on Facebook and are extremely aggressive in preventing and removing child exploitive content, as well as reporting it and the people responsible for it to law enforcement. We've built complex technical systems that either block the creation of this content, including in private groups, or flag it for quick review by our team of investigations professionals. Now, if all of that were true and working, none of the content I've been able to show you would exist on Facebook.
Right.
However, we have not been able to get answers from Facebook about what their reporting system is to law enforcement. In other words, how many reports do they get on images and profiles? And what is that number, and what is the number they report to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children or the Department of Justice? Who are these investigation professionals? What are these complex technical systems that they're using? They're not transparent about that at all. And of course, we question the effectiveness of it because these things are still up every day and growing. So now Facebook isn't alone, obviously. It's not the only social networking site out there. There are many more. And Twitter is exploding with this because it's so fast and so quick. And
instant gratification, that's what our generation's about.
Exactly. And you can get so many followers so quickly.
Yep.
And again, these are some screenshots from open Twitter accounts. So it's extremely easy to get people following on Twitter to know certain words to look for. This is a young boy nude and tied up on a open Twitter account. And again, nude children all over Twitter. And it doesn't take much to realize what's going on behind some of these things.
Well, one thing I noticed about the slides that you offer about Twitter, well, I don't personally use Twitter, but I know a lot of my friends, even on Facebook, they use the hashtag symbol, which I guess is kind of like the equivalent of the like on Facebook.
Yes.
So I guess even with Twitter, do you think a lot of pedophiles use the hashtag or to link up with each other? But I guess like my real question is, why hasn't Twitter been able to filter those hashtags? I mean, they're using crazy words like cum, like
slut, young.
Slut,
I love
penis.
these.
I mean,
Young. I
these
know.
are words that should be X-rated. I'm sorry, they are X-rated, but it's unfathomable at this point.
That they're allowing @young, love youngs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what this is. I can't speak for Twitter. It's just out there, and you're right, the hashtags are like the likes on Facebook. You can put in a search for it and find all those hashtags, and they know not just the words that are obvious to you and I, but they know their own code words, like Lolita and Angel Love and Young Love and things like that, where they know to find each other, and they can find lists of people and hashtags that are posting this kind of stuff. Again, if they know about it, if you and I can find it as civilians, why can't the companies with enormous resources do something about this? And that's what we're asking them to do.
So I have one major question for you. I mean, like, even before, I even met you, or not even so, but even you told me about this issue, I've been on Facebook for about 8 years now. I know the time frame, but I haven't not seen one single pornographic picture of a child.
Yeah.
And I guess for the common person's mind, I guess you have to say, like, okay, well, I'm obviously not complicit in it. I don't see it. So why should I even care about it? What would you say about that?
I understand that. You may not come across that. As a male, you might, because you might have the females who are trying to draw you into the commercial sexual exploitation side of things. It's what we call tugging, they bring you in.
Oh, interesting, okay.
But again, if you're not putting in some of these words to search, if you do a search on Facebook, it might be for someone's friend or somebody who else likes your college or somebody else where you work. You're probably not going to be looking for some of the phrases we've seen here today. But if you were to look for nude teen, young nude boy, you'd find hundreds and hundreds of them just in a matter of minutes. It doesn't take much time at all. It's extraordinarily easy portably. It's as though if you and I were driving down a commercial road outside of any city in America, and there were strip malls and little motels and maybe a massage place. We don't know what's going on there, but we're on our way to our store, on our way to the grocery market, on our way to Walmart. We really don't know what's going on inside of that little motel room, but we really do. You know, there's not much, you know, so it's what's hidden right behind the surface of our daily lives that is the most dangerous. And these pedophiles, the human traffickers, the pimps, the Johns, and everything that you and I have worked against for so long, they are able to operate just under the surface of normal society because we don't really look for it in our common day-to-day.
And that's what's the commonality of our my generation at this point. We're just looking for instant gratification, and we have our heads stuck in the sand. I'm going to say it. The majority of my generation, we're just apathetic citizens, but well, having you raising this awareness, I mean, with with Facebook and Twitter, the two main social networking sites that we all use,
all day long,
and the fact that it is complicit and actually generates this hidden lucrative business, it's really scary to me because I didn't even know about this, and I've been working on this issue for 8 years. So, I mean, what do you think Facebook should do at this point?
We'll show you a couple things.
Okay,
and that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
So here's a few things we've set up for people to do. One is on causes.com, we've set up, forced Facebook to block all child pornography. And this is growing by leaps and bounds.
Oh, that's great.
And this is
that's
where
so
we post news to this. We post examples of arrests that have happened, people that have been found and arrested because they were using Facebook for child pornography. So any news that's happening about this issue, we post here, and it's, again, tens of thousands of people are now on this. We could love to have more people join this cause, because the more that do, the less Facebook can ignore what's happening.
Great.
We've also started a petition on change.org that's well into the thousands, which is great. I mean, change.org has, in the past 12 to 18 months, really come into its own. And it's amazing what's happening with it, because things aren't taking weeks or months when they get a change.org petition going. It's sometimes a matter of hours, and we've seen that happen recently.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
We really hope people go and sign up on this petition at change.org called Stop Child Pornography and Child Sex Trafficking on Facebook. This website that we just set up, StopChildPornOnFacebook.com, is where people can take direct action in communicating with Facebook through direct mail. They can also communicate with their legislators through direct mail about the issue of child porn on Facebook. So from this website, people can hit the button, Act Now, or many of the other links here, and go directly to a page where they can send via first-class mail directly to the corporate offices of Facebook. So there's no avoiding the message. You can send directly to Facebook from this website.
Great, that's really good, and that's the instant gratification my generation uses too.
And that's why we set this up, because we wanted people to give a tangible way for people to communicate with Facebook, foregoing email and everything else, so that we want to flood their corporate offices with these cards saying, "Stop this now," something they cannot ignore.
Great.
We're going to go through very quickly now what happens when you report these crimes to the FBI, because you can. You simply copy the address of the photograph you find, and you go to what's called ic3.gov. It's called an IC3 form on the FBI's website. And this is what it looks like when you come there. You've complaint referral form for the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3. You've found sex, you hit next. You have found child pornography, you hit next. You filled out a very long form. Your name, your address, your phone number, where you found it, the circumstances, everything. Fine. They want as much detail. The more detail that law enforcement has, the better able they are to solve crimes. That's great. When you submit that, you get an email that looks like this saying, "Thank you very much, we'll look into it." Typically, you hear nothing about it after that. Okay. You can also report the same photograph at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at their cyber tip line. You click here. Right down here it says report child pornography. It's a little hard to find. And then again, you fill out this form. You can do this anonymously, but you fill out the type of incident, where, you know, a few things about where it's happening. They want to know the website where it was found. And then because of reports made like this, because we were in contact through this fake profile that I showed you earlier, arrests have been made. This is one report we made about a man who is calling himself Terry Lewis on Facebook. And he had communicated with a fake profile that I had, and he wanted me to open up galleries that I had hidden. And he showed me the galleries he had hidden, and they were filled with the child pornography. That's where we reported it to the FBI, obviously. And they arrested this man named Jerry Cannon. He was a pastor from Kentucky, a wife and 3 children, but this is what he was doing. And so it does work. If you take the time and report this, and enough information is given, it does work.
So how long does it usually take? You obviously reported it. When did the
That's
pastor
a good question,
get convicted or caught?
He was not very good in hiding himself, so this was a matter of weeks. He was very, very obvious about what he was doing. He didn't know about hiding himself. He thought he was pretty well hidden since he was using a fake profile on Facebook. But if the FBI finds that it's, the Department of Justice find that it's easy, you know, not easy enough, but enough information can be gathered, they can locate someone pretty easily.
And how? Do you know how? Or,
a little bit about
system.
with it,
Okay,
but yeah, they're
got
not
it.
going to talk about their investigative
Right,
procedures, and I
okay.
hope they don't.
Okay.
But the problem is they're so overworked. There's so much of this. There's so many reports coming in, and they have limited resources, limited resources as far as manpower and money and time. And so they have to get they have to go after the reports that are the most obvious. And they've been making some very good busts lately. We see more and more made all the time.
That's really good news.
Because the reporting procedures and their investigative procedures seem to be getting streamlined. So we're seeing more arrests being made all the time.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm glad that over 300 people shared the link, and it seems like people are starting to like educate themselves and like, holy crap, this is actually happening. And the fact that it was a pastor,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the first time I saw this, it blew my mind.
Well, that's the thing. Human nature pays no attention
I know.
to what you are, what you do, what school you've been to. So, of course, we've seen pastors, professionals of all kinds, professors, people in law enforcement. And, of course, those are the ones that make the headlines, and people get to, they're
Right.
so stunned and amazed. But at this point, it shouldn't surprise any of us.
Right,
you
right.
know. It would be great if everybody who was a terrorist really looked like one, or everyone who we think looked like a bank robber looked like one, or everyone who looked like a creepy pedophile
Right,
pedophile
but
in
the
our head.
image of a John is just ambiguous, and it could be literally anyone at this point.
It could be absolutely
okay.
anyone. So, these are the faces of the children that are affected by this. These are the faces of the children we found on Facebook involved in child pornography. And, my constant question is that keeps me up at night is, what happened after these photos were taken? Where are these children now? Are they okay? Are they alive? Does anyone know? Were they rescued? Are they still in the hands of that abuser? Does whoever took these pictures still have access to them? And that's a question for all of us. But there's things we can do. Stop child porn on Facebook.com, causes.com, change.org, and contact your legislators, contact Facebook through all these systems, and we can get this thing stopped.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this. This is definitely an urgent issue that needs to be pressed.
Yeah, we think so. Thank you. Thank you for letting me expose you to this, because it's not easy to see these things.
It's not.
It hasn't been. It takes a lot of courage to do what you've done, just to expose yourself to it this much, to allow yourself to be educated, and to everyone watching this, to look this far into it and stop ignoring it. It's a fantastic, community we're trying to build in this to protect these children.
Absolutely.
So thank you for your courage and all your work.